Hey everyone, Panyo here. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of After Dinner Mints. I highly encourage everyone watching to join us in the Art Blocks Discord. A link to our Discord can be found in the description of this video. As always, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss an episode of our weekly show. And now let's introduce our guest for this afternoon. We have generative artist Fernando Jerez.
Hi, Ad. What's
Hey,
up,
how's it going,
Ponyo?
Fernando?
Oh, great. Feeling great. Thanks for having
Good,
me
good.
here, Ponyo.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on After Dinner Mints. Yeah, we have a lot to cover, and I'd love for you to kind of kick things off by telling us a little bit about your background.
Well, for those who don't know me, I'm Fernando. I studied computer science in the university. So my background is more a technical programmer or computer scientist. But since I was a kid, I've always liked computer graphics and make drawing with code, in short. So I started as a kid. I remember learning to code with books that I copy some small programs to draw spirals or squares and geometric shapes in the screen, and I thought that I was great. So always in my spare time, I've been drawing with code.
That's great.
In short, that's the introduction.
Great. No, I appreciate that. Well, maybe you can tell us, who are some of the artists that you kind of looked up to and inspired your earlier work?
I say that my main inspiration has been always sci-fi movies, comics, Japanese manga and movies, things like Akira, the Japanese movie. I remember when I was a kid that there was something that blew my mind, and still I think is one of the masterpieces of computer graphics. That is the original Tron movie. I think it's from 82,
Mm-hmm.
1982 or something like that. I remember seeing that movie when I was a kid, maybe in the late 80s. And fun fact, the infamous Perlin noise was invented for that movie by Ken Perlin. Every generative artist know the Perlin noise.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone use it. But that was invented especially for that movie. They need some sort of mechanism to create randomness, controlled randomness. That idea for me is super powerful. And that movie, in that moment, that was the first fully computer graphic movie. Is very important to me. So I say that I'm more a guy of sci-fi movies, comics, and things like that. Never study art history or always being science fiction, comics, and things like that.
Great. I appreciate that. Well, what was your introduction like, into the NFT and crypto space?
In January last year, in January 2021, I started seeing some of the designers and artists that I follow on Twitter. I started to see that they were publishing in some of their works in NFTs. So I made a fast investigation, and I saw that there were platforms where you can put your work and get paid in cryptos. I was in crypto since 2020, about I don't remember why songs, the classical history, the classic. A friend told me that cryptos are the future, so I bought a few of Ethereum and Dogecoin and forget about it. And then I remember that some artists publishing in NFTs. So I started a bit of research, and where I found interesting, because I don't want it to publish by myself in OpenSea. At that point, I thought that the better option for me could be found a gallery like art blocks where I can put my work, and that gallery promote my work and show my work. Dropping NFTs on OpenSea for people that are not very renewed is hard to say. I don't know if I'm explaining well, but I was looking for a gallery to put my work in. I found art blocks, and what caught me was the mechanics of minting. As most of my projects are generative pieces that I refresh and hit F5 and get a new variation, the mechanic of having a minting process where when you buy a piece, you get a random variation of that algorithm, that was super, was like, that's what I need. So I jumped into Artblocks Discord, made some question, applied successfully with a station, and here I am.
That's great. Yeah, no, we're super glad. You've launched 2 projects on Art Blocks, and we'll get into those in just a little bit. Can we see some of those, early generative art pieces that you created?
Yes, I got a selection here. If you want to move to my share screen, okay.
Yep.
I think I've made here, before the NFT, I was publishing many of my work in Twitter. I never did a commercial project, so I just made those things as a hobby. I've been very involved in 3D printing community last 5 or 6 years. So many of my designs are related with 3D printing. We'll talk about it right now. And what I have is a lot of Twitter threads that I compiled here. We can take a walk about.
Yeah, please.
Okay,
Yeah, let's
so
pick out a
I
couple of
got
them.
one. Let's see that one. That's a well-known algorithm, the reaction diffusion, but this time I use it for making 3D structures that looks like corals.
Oh, yeah.
You see in the corner pattern. You see how the algorithm evolves a
Yeah, it
shape.
kind of grows over time, it looks like.
Okay, so what you see in the upper corner is the the shape evolving, and the 3D model is building and stacking each frame in one layer. So with that 3D one, that's a well-known algorithm, and this is one application that I made for this. As I said before, I'm into 3D printing, so that's a physical piece of the models created with that algorithm we showed before.
So do you go scuba diving? I know you mentioned this is like based off of coral reef. Is that something
No,
you do, like snorkeling?
nice question, because I live in an island, but no, I don't do scuba diving. But
Got it. Okay.
I love the coral sharks.
Mm-hmm.
One of
Yeah,
the most
beautiful.
one of the most generative things in in the whole
Yeah.
nature. So that's one. Another one. That's some sort of procedural random tracks generator.
That's cool.
They are tracks.
Yeah, so what is it modeled after?
This model are made using what is called wave function collapse. In this algorithm, basically, in short, you have a set of pieces pre-designed. So You have, I'll show you, okay, that is made with a CAD software. You have a lot of pieces, and the algorithm what do is recombine, is randomly combine those pieces in different variations, so you can get in this example, for instance, different types of trucks. Trucks. Wave function collapse is a very handy algorithm, and I show you. Okay, move on. Any question? I think this is good that I'm showing some of those things, and ask me
Yeah.
if you are interested in some.
So yeah, what's this? Is this like a yellow and purple piece that you
Okay,
have right there? Is that kind of an earlier generative model that
I
you
got.
created?
This is a small online tool that use. It's called Hitomesashi Pattern Editor. It's like a algorithm that using the information stored here, you can draw some sort of patterns. It's an implementation. It's not my idea. I'm not claiming that idea. It's just an implementation on something super beauty that I saw in a write-up here, and that's an ancient technique of snitching, no, stitching,
Stitching, yeah.
stitching in Japanese culture. So you have a configuration for every column and row, and following some simple rules, you can draw different patterns. It's something that comes from the ancient Japanese culture, and it was used for making patterns, stitching patterns in fabric.
Got it. Wow.
And
Beautiful,
that's
man.
cool. It's an online tool that is free on my website, just to play a bit with it.
And what's the name of your website, just in case for people listening, they can check it
Okay,
out?
my website is Fernando Jerez, last name.com.
Okay.
I'm
Easy
building a
enough.
website here. I got links to all the things we are talking today, NFT things, a gallery with my 3D printing models. All of these are free. Some doodles or those online tools like the Haito Mesashi we just have seen right now. A few more, and a free game.
Cool.
A free game that I made with Prophecy like 1 year ago, something like that.
Cool. Well, yeah, we'll definitely include a link inside of the description of this YouTube video so that anyone that's tuning in is interested, they can check it out.
Sure, FernandoJerez.com. That's
Okay.
all. You have
Great.
a front page with links to all my stuff, and my intention is adding more projects.
Okay, excellent. Well, I do want to talk about stations in just a moment, but when you're getting ready to code a project and prepare to start building that, like, how do you prepare yourself? Do you go somewhere? I know you mentioned sci-fi movies is kind of like been an inspiration for you. Do you like pop in some movies and try to gain some inspiration from those, or what does that look like for you?
Uh, I don't have. I really don't have any ritual or
Mhm.
things like that. I feel like when I'm looking for inspiration runs away, and sometimes better ideas comes when you're in other context.
Yeah.
This morning
No.
I've been in the beach and trying to catch some waves with my surfboard. I say trying, it was horrible. And there's moments that when you disconnect from the computers and the social networks, that is when some ideas start to flow into your head.
Mhm.
So I refuse to follow the inspiration.
Yeah.
I prefer to relax and get some distance from computers and things like that. Maybe the inspiration comes out from the generative art thing. Maybe
Hmm.
I'm watching a movie and I see some special effects, a CGA that I like. I take a screenshot, I made some notes. Oh, I'm pretty sure there's an algorithm that can make that. But
That's cool.
I don't really have any ritual. I took this like a relaxing hobby. And I feel like if I forced to launch projects continuously, I will not be no. I feel that's not. I don't know how to work with that pressure.
Yeah. Well,
So
it sounds like you have an idea of what you need to do, and you just kind of, I think that's good. It's different for everyone.
yeah, I think it's more an spontaneous thing. In
Hmm.
my case, that's something premeditated. Right? Sometimes, yes, I found some. Well, sometimes I found something nice, like those. Not the case, but I think that was just that pattern generator.
Hmm.
That was a fast idea, something that I made in a weekend, just as for fun, to having an afternoon fun. And maybe this is an spontaneous idea, but I learned a lot doing this. And maybe you can, at this point, start to thinking in something more like a project based on
Hmm.
that technique. ¿Vale?
Yeah.
Not right now, but you can start seeing some patterns, you can play with colors, compositions, and maybe a project can born for this spontaneous idea.
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, Stations, which was your first project on Art Blocks. For anyone that doesn't know, can you tell us a little bit about, that concept behind the project?
Stations, yes, the concept, in this case, stations is the evolution of a set of algorithms that I made in the past exploring recursion, geometric subdivision, and recursion. So in a station website, let me, I will tell you better. So in the, uh, for, uh, here, okay, stations, learn more. Well, I made a nice station sheet here about this project. Stations have been with me since 2011. So I started exploring spatial subdivision. Maybe there's some projects using the same techniques that could be similar to that. I tried some different coloring, etc, etc. And what point, when you're working with that, I started thinking, what if instead of drawing shapes, into what if instead of drawing shape into another shape, I stack all shapes here.
Hmm.
So the very first version, well, all that was made in processing. The very first version was like some sort of city. Okay. Then I started working in 3D space. And just by coincidence, the whole thing looks like a sci-fi spatial construction or something like that. That's why I call it in stations,
Hmm.
because in some manner they look like space stations as
Got it.
they are, something like that. And mm, I think this project has been the I have half dozen projects related to stations before the art blocks version. Even I have a 3D printing, a set of models for 3D printing using the same algorithm. Those are cities that use the same subdivision algorithm. Geometry is different, but for those who know a station, they may recognize some patterns and shapes here. Not the same geometry, but the same construction method.
Well, what about, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the process that went behind, selecting those shapes in detail that, go into this project? Because what's great about it is that it's interactive. And so you can actually zoom in and get kind of like a nice close and clean look of that, that specific piece.
Okay, selecting shapes for this one is could be tricky because you need shapes that can be viewed, and you need shapes that must be pretty in big and small scales. So there's no room to make many details or something like that. I'm using basic shapes and basic constructions that will look nice, big or small. If you let's put some. Oh, okay. I got a Dika gallery with some of my favorites.
Okay, yeah.
So maybe I love this one. That double rings with the glass sphere.
Yeah.
Let's zoom it. So, oh no, Firefox.
Why did you, maybe you can, while it's loading, you can tell us, so was the double ring, is that something that just didn't happen, very often throughout the entire set?
That was put like a variation in the general shapes. Oh, that's Metropixeland. I got the OpenSea here. If you see, there's some basic shapes like cubes, circles, hexagons, and sometimes triangles. Sometimes, well, it's not no rings in the cheaper ones. Sometimes people like the rings. Sometimes
Oh, there you go.
rings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So or sticks. I will like it. We'll call it sticks. So first, the algorithm first choose a random general pattern or form or shape, like a ring, a stick, a hexagon, a cube, and then for each phase of the geometry, start a process of subdividing and building, stacking geometry. Firefox is not the better browser for
Yeah. Takes a little
WebGL.
while.
It's
You got to
sad because
try, you should check out Archipelago.
okay.
I mean, in the future, you don't have to do it right now. We can jump in a little bit later on.
I think I got Archipelago dot art. No,
I think
yes.
so, yeah. Maybe not.
Yes, archipelago.art. That's out. Okay. So stations. Yeah, you can watch it better here.
Yeah, I really love how that, so the interactive part of it, as far as, zooming in and out and kind of like like clicking on the actual piece and kind of dragging around, is that something that was always intentional, like as a part of the project?
Yes, with this project, one of the yes, was from the beginning. In this project, the geometry grows in every direction. So having a fixed camera, you are losing the half the geometry, and it's super cool. I love the feeling when you there is the screenshot. I will click and animate. No, wow. Ah, I love this project.
Yeah, it's a
I
beauty.
do like a lot this
Well, yeah,
project.
it
Eh,
sounds like it's a special one for you also because you spent 10 years, kind of like building it. You had those 3D models that you kind of shared with us. It seems like it's a passion project for you, a big project.
yes. I feel that this kind of this mechanics of construction, this algorithm of subdividing and stacking different layers of geometry is something. I'm afraid to say that, but it's something that I never seen in other projects,
Hmm.
and was something that I'm not claiming that's my idea, but I worked a lot of it. It comes to me like an evolution of previous project. I love it. I do like a lot. I made different experiments with different geometries, something totally terrible, another very nice. But I feel like a very personal project. I've been working a lot in things related to this construction technique.
Hmm.
So yeah, also I'm very happy that that's my very first NFT collection.
Yeah.
I never published it before in the NFT ecosystem. That was just my very first, and it was on our blogs, and it was sold out in a few hours.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of emotions and feelings
Hmm.
with this project and me. Yes.
How was that experience though, launching something, on via the blockchain for the first time? Was it I know you mentioned, you had like a lot of feelings with the sellout but I think I'm just curious, what was the feeling like being like, all right, this stations project is going to be the first project I put on the blockchain. So I mean, I feel like that's very meaningful to begin with, but was it nerve-wracking? Was it scary at all? Were you
Uh,
nervous?
I was nervous. I was nervous, but the whole expectation around the project, or all of that.
Hmm.
But one thing I never, a feeling that I never had in when I publish on Twitter or on another profiles or repositories when I made another kind of project. One feeling that I never had before, it was the when it launched and I saw the people minting. I had a strange feeling of that that station is not my station. It's the station of another person.
Yeah.
Mm, it's super weird because it's your code, it's just an image, it's a representation. But when someone mint and you see minted by blah blah blah, owner blah blah blah, it's like it's no longer your work. It's on hands of another person.
Hmm.
So for me was unexpected and great feeling. I don't know if another artist have the same feeling, but for me was like that's no longer my project. That's in hands of other people.
Yeah.
So it's totally out of my control. I've been working months on this, and it's out of my control. So, and that's a super nice idea, a very inspiring idea. So you put something on the blockchain, and it starts a history by itself.
Hmm.
So I can't change the code.
Yeah,
I
you can't delete any of those stations that are out there. If there's like a mint and
the,
you're like, I don't like this, it's like, well, it's already out there.
yeah. I was afraid at the beginning. Please don't book, don't crash, don't book any browser. Uh, what happen if a piece I don't like that piece or something like that?
Hmm.
But the weirdest feeling, the rarest feeling that I had was the idea that this is not my project anymore. It's the
Hmm.
collector's project, and they are pieces that will write their own history.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's that, that's my feeling. in my feeling with those NFT projects that I never had before with when publishing another kind of things.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the colors, the palettes that kind of went into this project. Like, how did you envision that? Was there any inspiration from maybe some of these sci-fi movies, or what did that look like for you?
About the colors, at this point, when I was developing, I decided to take a illustration or comic aesthetics, mostly because the possibilities with real-time WebGL rendering I can do through color with shadows, lightnings, fancy lights, or very. I feel like I have this limitation on 3D with real-time 3D.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get a render, real, a realistic render or something like that. So I decided to take aesthetic related to illustration or comic, maybe, or something like that. So I look for palettes of colors that were saturated with vivid colors, super saturated, like an illustration, and built a set of different palettes that were easily distinguishable between each others to represent the idea of 9 factions or 9 kinds of digital people, factions, corporations, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's not a deep message or a deep feeling. This is just a project with showing a generator with geometry, something related to sci-fi or something like that. So I started getting a set of palettes. I think I started with 20 or 25, and I was getting rid of the one that were very similar, or the ones I think I were not very pretty. And finally, I think there was 9 different palettes. So in short, vivid colors, easily distinguishable between each others.
Got it. Okay, excellent. Well, and then also, I'd love for you to kind of talk a little bit about the Stations Unlimited website, which is a
Oh,
website where anyone can randomly generate a new station. Obviously, what's been minted on art blocks is locked, and you can't create any more iterations. But I think it's really cool that you have this option on your website where you can basically generate new
yes,
stations.
yes. Let's try. Yes. Oh, let's try another. Yes, recently, Firefox Brave works better. Recently, I thought that it was a good idea to publish the code, well, not really publish the code, but to give the generator open to everyone. So I use the same code that the generator NFT collection on Artblocks, put it on a website. It's just an online tool. It's linked in the website of a station.
Mm-hmm.
Something CSS, something weird here. When you can randomly generate stations, you get the seed, a random seed similar to what you get in the NFTs. And well, it's just a tool for people who maybe like the project. Wow, I think I made thousands of
Yeah,
these,
I'm sure.
and still, I'm still sometimes I say wow when I look at this board.
Yeah, like how
So
complex, and yeah, that's a crazy one right there, actually.
yeah, I think for people who may like the project, who maybe like the project, and that's a nice tool to view what variation that will never be in the original collection. I will get clear here. This is not an NFT. Original collection is here on OpenSea, on Artblocks, but this is just a tool to explore it. And I think this.
Yeah, it's just like a great resource for people to have some fun. They're not the official stations that are on art blocks, but just something where you can kind of just see if there's any other variations that might not have made it, to the official collection.
Yeah. Wow, those renders.
Wow, that's nuts right there. It's like a
That
blueprint, actually.
yeah, the blueprint is a post-processing shader in years. It's very cool. People
Well, I want to carve
appreciate.
out some time to talk about your newest project, but before that, did you have some of those physical pieces with you, those 3D printed
Oh,
stations
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and the
yeah.
3D printed robot that I know we were talking about you sharing?
Okay, okay. We're talking before about that. Yes, for people who don't know, there's mm, related to stations. There's some. Well, I've been in 3D printing for years, and related to stations, I made some procedural pieces. Those are.
That's cool.
This is one. Those are procedural. I publish this like procedural cities because they are more like towers of cities of things.
How long
And
did it take to print something like that?
using if you export this, if you export the geometry in some sort of a standard format of 3D,
Mhm.
I'm using printers, a home printer that work with filaments, work with a plastic filament. I got something here. Okay, let me. Okay, I got here a spool of the material. So,
Mhm.
and a printer is like a plotter, but with another axis, with a
Yeah.
zeta axis here. So works like a plotter. Uh, it it pick the filament and it's drawing. Uh, it has a heater with a nozzle and it's
Mhm.
drawing. It's like it's taking filament and drawing from down to up, constructing the piece from bottom to top. So it's like a plotter in 3D that is drawing with plastic. This is plastic, and if you see carefully, you may can notice some sort of texture, small imperfections here. Okay, so this
Mhm.
piece is building from down to top, like a
Yeah.
plotter that draws with plastic in different layers.
Yeah. That must take a
Um,
long time to. I'm sure that didn't take. What does that take, like several hours or like a day or two to build just like that piece right there?
Maybe that piece could take 1 hour, something between 1.5 hours, maybe. Some other pieces, these have a lot of detail and is more path to draw.
Mhm.
So even if this piece that is bigger is not as complex as this, maybe this
Yeah.
piece could take 2 or 3 hours, and this no more than 2 hours because the complexity and things like that.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway,
let's take a look at that robot.
oh
Do you want to
yeah,
share that? And just for like a moment
sure.
before we move on to Metropixeland.
See, yes, yes, yes. I got a robot here. I've been on 3D printing, guys. I've been on 3D printing for years. I'm very passionate. This is a small community that we took this as a hobby, and I will try to move the laptop with the camera without breaking nothing. And one of my better projects is
Yeah.
I'm using the laptop camera so I can do a close up. I have a few things blue here,
Yeah, no
but
problem. That's a good view
okay,
there.
okay. I will go. Give me 1 minute. This is a life-size robot. Designed, not procedural. It's not procedural. It's articulated. You can move the arms. You can pose it. I'm afraid that it's falling today.
Yeah, I don't want you to break it or anything.
Will pose. Has been here for almost 1 year. Whoa. I need to clean it up a bit. So I do more things, not only generative things, but sometimes I take CAD software and made robots or things like that. That's a robot that was intended to be something like this, to put in my desktop or like that. But once I started designing and launched the first pieces to printer, I say, why I did not scale or 3 times and made it life size. So I wrote a lot of.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. I feel like that's that's probably a project that took a very long time. So yeah, I think it's really cool to kind of just let the collectors, people that are viewing, just a little bit of an insight into how passionate you are with 3D printing. Yeah,
Yes,
let's talk about Metropixeland, which congratulations, sold out incredibly quick. Last week here on Art Blocks.
thank you.
But yeah, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the meaning of this project and also the project name.
This project name was, well, the meaning of this project. This project has a mission: is bring you a few of nostalgic old school vibes. Okay, there's nothing transcendental in the envision of this project, but something that reminds you the old times playing with games like Sin City or Habbo Hotel, or things that brings you some memories of old school nostalgic vibes. To say something, the name about the naming a project sometimes is one of the most tricky things of a project. And there was something like Block Cities, Pixel Cities, all those names are taken for another collection. So something like Metropolis, some kind of Metropolis, Metropixel, and finally was Metropixeland. That's something that represents a city and neighborhood that is a metaphor of our digital lives. So
I love that. And yeah, maybe you can tell us like you said, it's kind of modeled after a city, and it sounds like you love landscapes or just like cities in general with all the buildings and those details. Was this project modeled after a particular city that you love and enjoy visiting?
No, not really, not really. That started. Not really. I started. I wanted to make something like the Big Apple in New York, Manhattan, like the Manhattan Big Apple or something like that, with skyscrapers. But at the same time, to add variation, something that I could be sometimes with skyscrapers, sometimes with small towns. And I took a simple, I inspired in many modern pixel art. Okay, the aesthetics is more like all games, but I inspired in very modern pixel art, isometric pixel art. There's a lot of great artists out there. I don't know. I could say a name, but I don't know. I don't know any name. Anyway, I was started making the buildings, writing some custom algorithms for the pattern on the walls that are not always the same. I think this project from the distance, they all look the same. But if
Mhm.
you uh, take a look into details, there's a lot of entropy and details inside each piece. I don't know if it's because I made it, but I see a lot of difference. Many people say, some people have said, well, it looks like everyone looks similar, but there's a lot of the elevators, those trains that randomly get broken and blink for a second, blinking panels, something like so. I don't know. I
Yeah.
think, tell me.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, I think some of the cool details that I noticed, the first thing that caught my eye was the fact that you added the mint number within each piece, kind of like in that bottom right hand corner. Or yep, yeah, right
Sure.
over there. Yeah, I think that's a really beautiful touch to kind of showcase, the mint number from that collection. Was that something that you always wanted to include, or what was the reasoning behind that?
Uh, I yes, I want to include one of the things that I would like to have in my project is some sort of sign. In a collection is something like the number 30 or 40, 400, like a sign with the mean number or something like that. If this piece is part of a collection of a limited series, this is the number 170. So I think adding the mint number as a sign or as a blinking sign, something like that, could be nice. I showed to some friends, to some people, and they like it, the idea. So it's when you have a piece of a limited series and it says 13 dash the number of
Mhm.
the piece. No, I
Yeah.
think it's cool. And some people told me, "Oh, it's cool. I took the number 9010. That is the number that my child born."
Yeah, it has like a
Nice.
maybe people collect it based off of, something that's meaningful to them.
Yeah. So some people collect it for there's some meaning in the number, but in my head that was the number of mean, like a limited series. This
Mhm.
is a 450 series, and I have the number 117. 17? Yes.
Yeah,
So I think it's cool. Yep.
yeah, absolutely. And why don't you show us, and then if you can, just tell us a little bit about the 2D, because you can change it from, what you see in the live look, and then change it to, multiple 2D
Ah, okay.
images.
Okay. Sure. Uh, as you see, the camera is limited because the whole point of the collection was the isometric view.
Mhm.
So if you got a free camera rotation, I didn't like too much because so I limited. But exploring with a free camera during development, I discovered that two-dimensional, the 2D camera looks super cool. That was maybe unexpected, not in my intention when I started the project.
Mhm.
But once I start playing with the camera, I noticed that this view it it's super cool to me. And seems like peace, so I decided to keep it and add with the 1, 2, 3 numbers keywords. Leave this optional. The people seems to like this feature. So that was the idea. The the view from top is horrible. I get rid of that.
Hmm.
But I think that was something that comes exploring with free camera. I noticed that some angles were ugly, but the 2D have something different, something special. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I know I mentioned, or I didn't mention, a couple people in Block Talk were talking about, how it reminded them of SimCity 2000 and some of those kind of like older games, which is I don't know, it just really pairs well, and I can totally see how I see those. It's very nostalgic, I think, for a lot of people. It's like, oh, like I
Uh,
want to collect it because it reminds me of this game that had a lot of meaning in my past.
super happy to know that because that was the point of this collection. So I really wanted that people, when saw the city, started thinking on the oh, it looks like I made it like it was for like if I was a collector, I will buy this piece. I
Hmm.
mean, I made it like if I was going to pay for that because
Yeah.
it brings me memories of games that I played in the past. So when I see people, hey, it looks like Sin City, yes, that's what I wanted. Looks
Hmm.
like Habbo Hotel, yep, that's what I wanted. And it's like, okay, it's well done.
Yeah, and some
Uh,
people might purchase them because maybe it reminds me of something in the city that they live in or that they visited. So I think there's so many reasons, and I don't know, people can connect with this project in so many different ways. And one of
that's cool.
the yeah, some of the details I would love for you to touch base on is, you have kind of the sakura tree. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but it seems like, which is isn't that a tree in Japan, correct? Like a cherry blossom almost?
Okay, yes, yes, yes. The sakura tree is the cherry tree in
Hmm.
Japan. So let's see if we can filter and show a sakura tree. At some point, oh, that's a weird one. At some point, I started to add variations and some rarities, and that pink blue tone of the sakura trees, the
Hmm.
cherry blossom trees, maybe
Yeah,
in English. Yeah,
I think it's cherry blossom. Yeah.
let's filter a bit. Sakura. Oh, they're super pretty. Oh, I love this.
Yeah. It adds like a really nice, like a little bit of different color, like that pink just kind of like spread out. That's a nice
Yes,
one. Yeah.
yes, because the tree color is always something green with a bit of brown, maybe sometimes. That was a variation that breaks the tree palette, and it's super cool. That mix that I think is nice. So there's a few special variations and something. Bonio, did you notice the second? You know, there's a second city in this NFT. You
No,
say
I didn't. No.
no? Oh no. Let's show you. If you open the browser console,
Uh-huh.
you got a message, a message
Uh-huh.
with a procedurally generated text art city, different for each mint. We'll zoom
Oh, that's
a bit.
cool.
So in each city, that's just a small
It's a
Easter
little
egg
Easter egg.
or yes, yes, yes. So
I love that.
in each city, you open the console, you get the number of mint, the mint number. Uh, Population is pseudo random, calculated by the number of buildings. So
Got it.
cities with more buildings have more population. Metropixeland, Fernando Jerez, 2022.
Cool. Well, I
And
appreciate you sharing that with us. That's awesome.
that's a small Easter egg. Some people, I think most of people didn't notice. In the
Yeah.
website, in the website, I talk about all these rarities like the sakura trees, a rainbow train that sometimes appear in some mints, the roadmaster, that two-stage, two levels red bus from
Okay.
London,
Double level bus. Okay.
double
Got
level
it.
bus from classic London, classical double
Hmm.
level bus of
That's
London.
awesome. And I
Hmm.
noticed you mentioned in the description, enjoy seeing the city in full screen while listening to, is it Nas Kingston's Boombap mixes?
Yep. I strongly encourage to everyone to give really 5 minutes of relax watching the city with some instrumental chill music.
Hmm.
Uh, Nas Kingston on YouTube. You can found on YouTube. He made instrumental mixes, something like chill, rap, old school, and
Yeah.
that's the kind of music that sounds like the sound of the city. Sometimes you get the illusion that the cars and the blinks on signs and panels synchronize with the music,
Hmm.
and that
Yeah.
was something that I remember using, listening that music while development and that. And I think I have 10 or 15 minutes watching a single mint, a test mint here, and I spent, oh, it was 10 minutes. Oh, I was listening the music and watching
Yeah.
all the things moving, all the things synchronizing, and have a few minutes of relax. So I just
It's a
strongly
yeah.
recommend full
I did.
screen, gives you a few minutes of relax and watch the city moving.
Definitely. Yeah. I tried it, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, and I got lost in a couple of the mints myself, just listening to the music, sitting back and kind of just enjoying myself. So yeah, it was a nice chill experience, and I highly recommend everyone watching to try it out. So maybe what we can do is include a link also to maybe a YouTube video of,
Uh,
with some music
yes, yes.
from that so people can check it out.
Hmm, yep. Uh, and in the artist display notes, I can edit. This thing is not on chain, as
Mhm.
far as I know.
Yeah, if you want to
Eh,
include a link maybe to
maybe
something, we can go ahead and include that into our
if
description as well.
if not, I can post you a link by Discord when we finish, and you could post in something when you are Nas
Yeah,
Kingston, Nas Kingston mixes
cool.
on YouTube.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll do that in a minute. Is there like a favorite, one or two mints that you want to share with, the viewers before we kind of
Uh,
move on? I know we're kind of getting close on time.
What yes, I have a few numbers that I like it the most, but it's super hard to choose one of my favorites. One of my favorites palettes is the black palette. Most palettes, if you know, random colors. Most of the series have random colors, not predefined palettes.
Mhm.
But in some case, there's some palettes that are out of the random range that I'm working on. And one of my favorites is the black. This I love this.
Yeah, it kind of gives like a little bit of a nighttime kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, you know that the day-night cycle runs from the entire collection. First mints are by morning, and last mints are by
Ah,
night. So if you sort the collection, this is a nice one.
yeah. It's got some lights
The
going on
the
and
black
flickering
palette,
around.
that's a very personal. I like this black palette. That's like columns, the pseudo Ethereum. things that looks like an Ethereum symbol, not an Ethereum symbol. I was about to make something. Did you know that I can sort here better in Artblocks page? That will be better in Artblocks page. Site page is from Spain. So Metropixeland sort order. Let's see more. And from the first, based on the number. Okay, so that's just another detail. There's a lot of subtle details in that collection. Another detail is that first mains are by the morning. Then it was changing. There's not a
later in the collection. It's nighttime or darker.
Okay, base. Here is by day. If we advance a bit, 9. We're starting moving into a evening look. That purple sky, and in the last pieces we are completely by night.
Wow.
By the day there's some clouds, by night clouds are like a northern lights. And well, there was initially it was that randomly you get a station by day, a station city by day, city by day, city by night. There was a random thing. But I thought, and that was not, I'm not claiming that idea. I think the crypto citizens or New Yorkers, I saw some time ago, I saw in one collection, I'm not sure it was the New Yorker or crypto citizen or something like that. The first means were the background were by morning, and last means were by night. So the day-night cycle runs over the collection. So I think that could be cool for this project.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you talking about Metropixeland. It's such a cool project. There's a lot of really nice Easter eggs that I had no idea. And yeah, congratulations again on that project minting out in a quick time.
Thank you.
Well, I have just one other question for you before we kind of wrap things up. Are there any techniques that you're hoping to learn and use for the future? Just because, as I feel like as you grow and as an artist, is there anything that you kind of want to learn, in the future?
Two things. First, color theory. I've been more focusing last years in the techniques in the computer, in the coding, in the programming, learning algorithms, and I feel like I need more art. I need to balance my art and my technique. I need to learn about color theory, and also I need to learn about GLSA shaders. I mean, I didn't work much in the past with shaders, but for instance, in Metropixeland, the clouds, the northern lights, there's a few shaders here that are pretty basic, but was super difficult to me. So I want to learn more about shaders and more about color theory or more artistic part of this.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Some samples to say that generative artists are 50% artists, 50% scientists. I don't know if this is a good description, but I need to learn colors and shaders.
Well, I mean, what you created already is just beautiful, and we're so grateful to have you on
Thank you.
The Art Blocks platform, and I look forward to seeing what you use and what you kind of learn, as far as these techniques and how you apply it in future projects.
I want to make something in two dimensions, but
Okay.
I don't know. I don't have any project, but after this project, I really need something different. I don't know.
Okay. Very cool. Well, maybe I have one more question before we kind of wrap things up.
Sure.
I always find out that, mental health is so important in this space. I love talking about it because I think it applies to each and every one in this space. How do you wind down once a project is fully minted out? Like, how do you kind of decompress, once a project is sold out?
Taking some distance from computers and coding and social networks. Once the project is sold out, next day, Twitter, Discord are super active. I used to be active in Twitter and Discord. I mean, I'm always in blog talk. Don't write too much, but I'm always lurking and reading blog talk. And sometimes I think that this space is moving too fast. So I totally disconnect. I may took 2 or 3 days without opening processing or the code environment. I silence Twitter for a weekend, and I just take a walk for the beach, meet some friends to take a beer or something like this.
Okay, great. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. I know it's different for everyone, but I think it's just such an important thing for everyone to always just take a break. It doesn't hurt, and this space will always exist. Everything's on the blockchain, which is always great. So
yeah, especially because things are like super fast to me. I don't think I enter on Twitter. I follow. It's more an illusion because I enter on Twitter. I follow 100 of artists, and when I enter on Twitter, I see 20 work in progress projects, and that I need to do something. I need a work in progress project. No. I don't need that. There's a lot of people out there. Everyone is working, and I need to slow down and take nice projects rather than fast.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Well, I really appreciate Fernando for joining me on After Dinner Mints. How can people reach you should they have any questions?
I'm usually active on Twitter, Fernando Jerez 3D. On Discord, I'm usually active and open to private message. In my Discord profile, you got the link to my website, fernandojerez.com. Or just enter on Fernando Jerez, last name.com, and you have the links to my social networks. I'm only on Twitter and Discord, no Instagram, no Facebook. I can't manage more networks.
Great. Well, I appreciate that. We'll include all of those links inside of the description of this video. Again, Fernando, I appreciate you jumping on After Dinner Mints with us today.
Okay, thanks to you for having me here, for the invitation. I hope my English wasn't as good from Spain.
No, it was fantastic. I really appreciate you, and it's just been a delight hearing about your projects.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, we got a couple of just news and notes. After Dinner Mints discussions are all available as a podcast. Make sure you check out Spotify, Apple, Google, and Amazon. Do a search for After Dinner Mints, and you'll be able to listen to discussions from all of our previous episodes. Finally, we have a weekly newsletter that gets delivered once a week with information on upcoming drops and generative art related news. You can find a link to that newsletter in the description of this YouTube video. Again, Fernando, thank you so much for joining me on After Dinner Mints. It's been great to have you on. For everyone that's tuning in, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to the Artblocks YouTube channel. Be kind to each other, buy what you love, and we will see you all next week. Thanks again, Fernando.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you.
Bye.